I only remember that we had to mention something, and we did. And it had to do nothing loftier than we know that we have been through much. And thank you for joining us again in a spirit of renewal. But the floats, the military entrance in that parade that year were something very special. I certainly do not have a love of war or war machinery, but I must say that when the B-2 Stealth flies over that parade location, because of the sheer magnitude of what it is and its accomplishment, we are stunned, almost speechless, and we shouldn't speak. Last summer, I was at an event where they are serviced every 7 years. There are a number of B-2s that fly around the world. I believe each B-2 costs billions to manufacture. And I was at that event, had the privilege of saying a few words to the gathered people who worked at the manufacturer and the military men who were there. In fact, I was sitting next to, in the blazing sun on the tarmac, to this young soldier dressed in full military stuff. We were sweating buckets. It was unmercifully hot in the middle of a summer day. And I noticed he wasn't sweating at all. I was just dripping. And I thought, oh, how dear. Military discipline. Young guy, probably his first time here at an event like this. He must be so impressed. Later on, they introduced the head chief pilot of all the B-2 stealth pilots, and it was this kid who got up and made the most eloquent speech I've heard in many years. That afternoon, though there was much I couldn't ask questions about, they were servicing one of the stealths in a huge hangar. And they said, would you like to sit in the cockpit? Well, I said, gee, there are so many other people who deserve to do this. I'm embarrassed. They said, well, we'll be happy to let you go up there. You'll be the only female, other than female pilots, and there are B-2 female pilots. You'll be the only female ever to sit in the cockpit, second only to Margaret Thatcher. Well, I said, I must go. And I climbed up these stairs and squeezed into the cockpit of this enormous plane where people fly for, I think they said, 40 hours. And they're like this. And I said, how do the pilots go to the bathroom? Well, they said, we buy a little porta potty from Home Depot. That's it. That's all. And do they sleep? Yes, they take turns. There's a tiny cot right behind you, and they take power naps, one after the other. But these pilots are so disciplined, so steeled, so experienced that they themselves are machines. They are machines. And the accomplishment of that machine that cannot be seen while it flies, it cannot be detected by radar. I said, as I was looking at it, it had what was coated with something like primer, an automobile primer color, that gray, dead color. I said, forgive my silly question, I don't see any rivets, nuts, bolts. I don't see any seams. And they said, no, you won't. And I said, who paints this? And they said, look over there at the far end of the hangar and over here and behind you. You see those tall things covered with tarpaulin? Yes, I said. They said, those are the robots. They paint the plane. Robots, I said. Yes, because the thickness of the paint has to be so uniform from 1 millimeter to the next millimeter that only a robot could do it. And I asked many other questions, and the fellow who was, the public liaison would look over at one of the others, trying to get permission about whether or not he could answer my question. And several of my questions got, no, that question we cannot answer.